For those who do not know, YSL Woody has been brought to the stand. He's the star witness in this Young Thug Rico YSL trial. YSL Woody, after telling police all that he's already told them in some of these interviews, in his words, he was lying to try to get out. But after speaking to them in detail and at length, he then comes to trial and he pleads the fifth.
And Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Do you want to be here?
Ma'am?
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay. Are you going to let me ask you some questions?
Okay.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay.
I plead the fifth.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I get you to step outside to your headquarters of jury deliberation, please? From
Listen, whatever you want to do.
Tell me how you got the information, then we can go ahead and go forward.
I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is this. I was told, and I hope this concerns the court.
It concerns me that you have proprietary information.
Why is it
or
proprietary?
Information that you should not be having that was ex parte.
Why?
With a party.
Why?
State of Georgia.
How about the witness? How about Mr. Copeland, who supposedly announced he's not testifying and he'll sit for 2 years, and then supposedly
that's
this honorable court.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. This court supposedly said, I can hold you until the end of this trial. Ms. Hilton supposedly said, actually, all of the defendants and then all 26 people are disposed of. If that's true, what this is coercion, witness intimidation, ex parte communications that we have a constitutional right to be present for.
Why, sir? I'm going to hold you in contempt if you don't tell me who this. Tell me who this information.
So you see the threats of contempt. For people who don't know what that means, it means I'm going to lock you up as a lawyer of 33 years with a flawless record. I'm going to send you to jail if you don't tell me how you got this information. What we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, is the equivalent of your girlfriend going in your phone, however she got into your phone, figured out that, yo, you've been cheating on me and you have another family across the city. You have another family on the west side. She comes at you about the unannounced child that you had, and you say, yo, you broke my trust. You went in my phone. That's what happened. All these, they go to running the folks when pop off. Next thing you know, they got pictures with Jay Prince. You understand me? In beef. Next thing you know, they got pictures with Big U.
Now niggas want to Loon me to death. Salute, Loon.
Yeah, exactly.
It's my man, Loon.
That's my man, too.
Both Loons. Old Loon, new Loon, both Loons.
Okay.
Yeah,
All ops must know it's up there and it's stuck there, nigga.
When it's up there, man, it's stuck there.
Shut up.
Yo, let's take a break from the show. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in North America. Yeah, I said it, I meant it. It's on the flow. Get it. It's on the flow at Prize Picks. Get it. It's on the flow at Prize Picks. Let me explain something to you. They turning $10 into $1,000 at Prize Picks. You use my code IUTP and you're a new sign up. Man, guess what? We shoot something to you, put something on the name, not the game, and put something in your bank. You hear me? Man, listen, pick up what I'm putting down, man. This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. All you got to do is test your skills. You ran with Steph Curry, put yours on Steph Curry. You ran with LeBron, put yours on LeBron. You ran with Saquon Barkley, put yours on. Yeah, that's how it go. Caitlin Clark, put yours on, right? And if you support me, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Do yourself a favor. Sign up right now, prizepicks.com. Use my code IUTP. Ain't nothing bigger than this airplane. It's up there. Let's get back to the show. Welcome to It's Up There podcast. Let's start this over. I go by Big Loon. You already know the vibes. I want to thank each and every one of you guys that subscribe, like, share any of the content that comes out of Loon's content house, which is It's Up There podcast. Thank you to all my people that's on Patreon. It's a blessing to be able to feed my family from subscribers and people that's viewing the content. We deserve to be in the position we in, and we're going to continue to put great content and interviews down for everyone that's watching. A lot to talk about today. Number one, I want to tell you guys, episode is brought to you by Prize Picks, the #1 sports fantasy app in North America. We are in prime time basketball. If you are someone who has knowledge about sports, if you are someone that has knowledge about players, if I were you, I would go to Prize Picks. You have an opportunity to turn $10 into $1,000. I mean, you win up to 100 times your money. This is one of the more lucrative opportunities if you know what you're doing. So if you're in the betting, go to Prize Picks, use my code IUTP, and we'll match you, send you up to $100. Make sure you get on your journey to start, doing your 1-2 and making you some money. So that's that. Also, go to patreon.com and sub their podcast. I'm about to drop some fire merch. Pre-orders go on next week. So pre-orders for merch go on sale next week. It's important that you are one of the people that is rocking this exclusive merch from our culture collection from It's Up There podcast. I thank each and every one of you guys. Of course, I could have just threw a logo on the shirt and tried to get you guys money, but that's just not how we roll. We take time, we design pieces, we put a lot of thought into the color waves, and so I really think you guys will appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for being involved. Listen, we just passed Father's Day. Father's Day for me is always special because my kids are very in tune with who their father is, what he does. And I've been in their life since they were very small, since they were born. By me growing up the way I grew up, which all the responsibility happened to fall on my mother as it pertains to nurturing and a lot of the financial responsibility outside of a very fraction of what it'll cost to raise a boy, especially in the era that I come up in. She took that on. And so for me, I get joy out of some of the small things, right? It could be me grilling. It can be them like, Dad, man, when you grilling again, like for them to want the grill food or for them to want to come chill and me to cook for them, or we go somewhere and we just vibing out. Like we was in the store yesterday and my oldest son wanted some New Balances and I'm like, what? I look at the New Balances. One of the pairs was $180. I'm saying this costs more than Jordans. Is this what y'all doing with the money? He like, yeah, these comfortable. These what I be on. And so I got him some New Balances. My other son wanted some more Black Forces. And so we just in the mall just tripping about their style. They're coming into their own. And, I'm watching and, I'm proud of them and I'm always going to be there for them, you dig? And so I take pride in that. My mother also came out. She took me out to a lunch. She's always been someone that's been there for my children like no other. I don't know another grandparent that's like my mother is as it pertains to her grandchildren. Like, literally treat them boys like they me. Like, love them like they me, worry about them like they me, pray for them like they me. Like, the grandmother's love for my children on my side is so crazy. Like, it's one of those loves like she had them boys. And so that's something always that I watch, I have to make sure that they know to take care of their granny. You know what I'm saying? Not only for me, but for them, take care of your granny. Open the doors for her. Make sure, help her get out the car. See if she need anything. Do she need you to carry something? Do she need her trash took out? Do she need her windows cleaned? Do she need her car cleaned? Do she need her car vacuumed out, right? Make sure you're taking care of her. Not only your granny, do that for your mother. Do that for the women around you. Like, be one of those guys, like when you jump up in the morning, go and get your business took care of. You're on cruise control when you with me. You get get your business took care of and then go on cruise control. And while I'm an adult, I still have to work on some of those things as well as we get into a very interesting part of life where I can do anything I want to do every single day. And I've always talked about freedom sometimes can run a person crazy. The classic example of that is like when someone who never had money, never came from money, don't know how to really navigate with money, hit the lottery. And then in 4 years, 5 years, they lose all the money. Now they in depression. They damn near die. They get out there, they're homeless, they get on drugs, like, because they ran into so much money, ruined their life. For people that rap and people in entertainment or people that come from poverty, you have to understand and switch your mindset, because now you can indulge in anything all the time. When you get you some money, you can indulge in anything all the time, and that's why it magnifies who you are. So if you do like to freak, you'll start throwing freak offs. Yeah, if you do like to smoke, you'll start having smoke sessions. You dig what I'm saying? And so the money magnifies who you are. And so we got to be careful that when we get money, we don't lose ourselves in the process. You know, I pray to God all the time that I continue to find my way and don't lose myself along this road. Because when you can just take 100 and throw it at something, it don't mean nothing. Things get a little slippery. Sometimes you may have what they call the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I didn't just learn about this, but it just was brought up by Neil deGrasse Tyson. And so what it really is when you get a certain amount of success off a little bit of information. And then because you got some success or covered some ground or got your footing up under you from a certain amount of success and that little information, you believe that little information to represent more information than it actually represents in the grand scheme of things, right? It's like a dude that come out and hit one jumper to come and tell Steph Curry about his form. You hit one jumper, you can't tell Steph Curry about his form. This is what I respect about, you know, karate, because they have the belt system. And the belt system helps you understand your place. And so in life, it's interesting because we all share the world with each other, and you don't know what no one else is in their journey, in their reading process, in their understanding of the universe, in their understanding of the word, in their understanding of life itself. You don't know what people are, even though you share this space with them. You can be laying with somebody that you don't know where they stand as it pertains to their spiritual journey. You can have kids with people that you don't even truly know. You know where we come from, you can share sex with people you don't share sentences with. You can be in a scenario to barely even talk to this girl and have sex with her, vice versa. Barely even talk to this dude and have sex with him. He drop a few dollars off here and there, he taking care of business. Ain't much to talk about, home taking care of business. You dig? That's the mindset. And this is why a lot of times street niggas get tricked out of position, is because of what they went through. It gets you so far, and then it had you delusional, right? So you can work your way to corporate America based on your street knowledge. Then you'll be next to a guy that ain't been through as much as you, right? And so what that does is you be like, he can't fuck with me. He ain't been through what I've been through. But the structured way that he went has taught him how to retain information, how to look at things and analyze data. You have too, but you don't have the formula down. I ask children nowadays, do you know how to Google something? Like, do you honestly know how to use Google? Because I don't. And I'm learning how to actually use Google. There's a way to use Google where only facts pull up. There's a way to use Google where only news articles pull up, not YouTube videos, right? There's a way to do some of these things that the structure has to be passed down. I remember one time bumping into a dude that was writing a paper. He had like a extremely detailed paper. So he's showing me the structure of the paper. He's showing me how he wrote it and how it's all formatted, how he's citing all his sources. And so it intrigued my brain. I said, hey, yo, you mind we get a lunch, man? And we end up going to get a lunch. And I was asking him, I'm like, yo, how do you do this? It was like, yo, I'll email you the paper. I'll email you this. Like, he didn't have no problem with sharing this information. Every time I saw this guy, he had a book in his hand. So I had respect for him without ever speaking to him, because I knew he's on a journey, seeking. He's in Bluetooth mode. And there's nothing more intriguing and interesting to someone like me than a human being being in Bluetooth mode. Seeking, searching, looking for information, looking for connection. What can I take these skill? What can I take this skill that I got and plug it in to make something happen? Because although I've been through hell in my life, I know nothing is for no reason. Nothing in nature is useless. You understand that? Every single thing in nature is of some use, and it's the same way with your life, the trials and tribulations, the testimonies that you have. And so I look at things like that because it's unfortunate for me that I've poured into people. I've poured into people now that have revisionist history. When you're around me, you benefit, and there's a period after that. And that goes for each and every person. You learn something, whether it's technique, information. You learn something, as well as I learned something from you. I don't want to seem as though I'm always giving and not getting, but ain't nothing given to me. Everything I get, I have to search for. Nothing has been given, but I do get things on the journey. But I've given so much to people that now will look at you and have some sort of revisionist history of the events that took place. I'm going to be talking about Young Blue and Boosie in a minute. But as I think about my own life, right, and some of the people that misrepresent their involvement with me or what I might have meant to their process, the ingredients I might have deposited into that overall scenario, the things that they took from me, that they looked over. I think to myself, like Loon, they say certain things because what's happening is they're coping with no longer being able to use you for the things they depended on you on. For the things they depended on you for. They also learned a hard lesson along the way, right? Most people that's critical of me don't have the kind of credentials to be able to dispute me or validate me. You dig that? That means no matter how they feel about it, it don't change nothing. You don't got the credentials to dispute this nor validate this. I'm coming back from where you going to. And so I have to ask most people that been involved with me in some kind of way and they took something from me and now they feel as though they're in competition with me. So I'm going to do all the work and then you're going to be my competition at the end of it. I'm going to turn you up. I'm going to put you in position and then you're going to act like you my competition. You 1 or 2 years in. I've been doing this 10 years. I've been getting money for a decade. You on your first lap and you're going to think you can outrun me. I got endurance when it come to this. I got endurance when it come to this. You ain't nothing like what I've been through. Your character is your character, no matter how much money you got. You are what you are, even if you in a Bentley. Even if you got a private jet. Your character outweighs your contributions and also the things that you have collected. So many times we come from nothing, right? And I see so many people go through things that make me say, I can see why it's hard to help people. I see why when you do a cost assessment, sometimes you just be like, I'd rather just watch it from afar as a fan. It'll be niggas that'll call you for advice and won't share your business. They hit you and need you for loans. They need you for things and they ain't never shared none of yours, but they favorite celebrity, they share it. The favorite celebrity, they like it. These are some of the sicknesses that goes on amongst my people. The idea that I help you start the garden and you'll give me the weeds. Where I'm from, if I build the bridge, you hand me the tolls. The money collected from tolls on the bridge that I helped build, I need to have a piece of that. I know we got a lot to get to today, but there's certain things on my mind I want to speak to the coach about. I hope that's okay with y'all. I had a disturbing conversation with someone that I used to love, and the only thing I got out of it was why I don't love them no more. Now I question myself because at some point I thought they was a backbone when they was a backstabber. You see, you can get things wrong. They gonna be on your back, but will they be on your back or will they have your back? And so when people have character flaw, there's a collateral consequence for dealing with them. I mean, you will find a way to hate me even though I helped you. It's crazy that some people have more hate for the people that helped them along the way than the people that never done nothing for them that actually hate them. How can you hate me more than the nigga that done that to you? Took you through these things, provided you with no air, You know, who am I to think everything gonna work out and everything gonna go as planned? Who am I to have the kind of confidence I have? You know, they wish they could beat me down or affect me. They wish they can make me rattled. I'm a measured man. For all things will work in the favor of those that praise the Lord. So I'm a measured man. Right? Now, my astrology sign says that I'm emotional. I am over analytical. And so I try to control the part of me that'll make me react to certain things that I shouldn't respond to. Right? I'm looking at forward motion. I'm looking for first down. You know, I think my fans can tell when I'm not into it and when I'm not really giving it what I can give it. Because if you came up listening to me, I'm talking about all 100 episodes, 150. I think now we on 250, but them first 150, the people that was listening in, they got a side of me that the culture really needs. I think the business side of podcasting does kind of get in the way. But I have the ability to multitask, and it's my job to make sure I can give people exactly what they need from me. Because this right here, one man show, one man army type of thing, it's a totally different level. It's a totally different skill. To get as far as I've been able to get with this is nothing short than a miracle. But let's get to the YSL Young Thug situation. So I want to start with the YSL Woody situation. I haven't really spoke since Woody has taken the stand. I think this time that I give some commentary to the culture. So many people have been asking for it. So we're here today. For those who do not know, YSL Woody has been brought to the stand. He's the star witness in this Young Thug Rico YSL trial. He seems to have had a relationship with law enforcement, in his words, that where he's been trying to finesse a way to get out of jail by telling them things about Young Thug and other people that's involved in this indictment that will cause law enforcement to look at them like the criminal street gang that they are presenting to the courts that they are. I've always asked myself, why wouldn't they verify some of these things? To just take the word of someone about the way I feel. Is at one time Woody had said, I don't know why Thug want to be a gangster. He should want to be a rapper, but he want to kill. He want people to be, he want people to get, he want to gang bang. He want to be involved in this lifestyle. And so for them, they've took Woody at a lot of his word in some of these different occasions in which they've met. As I've been watching the trial, there's been several scenarios in which things were allegedly happened to Woody on the street. And you now have the state on record saying that after you were shot at, for instance, you came up to the Fulton County Police Department and had a conversation about someone trying to harm you. And so there's so many scenarios where this dude has been caught up. Something happened. He's down there talking to the police. I knew the dynamics would switch. I don't look at Woody like he's scared to say whatever he want to say. But I knew the dynamics would switch when you got to sit on the stand and look at these people and be involved with these same individuals that you've been around all this different time. I continue to tell y'all, man, when I got told on, it ruined me. A lot of my homeboys right now be thinking like, why Loon don't pull up on us, why he don't fuck with us. When them niggas told on me, man, it ruined everything I had. Somebody that I was dealing with for 10 years, dog. Didn't mind getting with the police and set me up in some kind of bullshit scenario that I'm still alleging to this day was untrue. I moved past it. I don't want to seek any retribution for it. But I continue to say that I was placed in a scenario with someone that I was with for 10 years, that I helped them, that I knew their father, I knew their brother, and knew all these scenarios where I would know where their mother lived at. I knew where their father lived at. And I had the kind of power to send somebody over there to check on a dog. Now I had the kind, right? So when that happened to me, it did something to the lens that I view all of this shit out of. Like friendships, business relationships. That's why even in the industry, I gotta be careful. Because these rap dudes will tell you, I'm gonna do an interview, and then you don't see them. And then if you say something, it seems like you overreacting. But if you put the press game down when they come through your town, is that overreacting? Because I guarantee if you come, this is what happens to rappers, especially for people like me. You do a certain thing and then you come through my city and then some kind of way them boys get on you. Them boys on my city get on you, they got your necklace, they done took your ring and your watch, and then you need somebody to get your shit back, and guess who you want to reach out to? You want to reach out to somebody like me. And so this is how a lot of them old school niggas in the game made you rap niggas tap in. They would get you niggas robbed, get you niggas shit took, make niggas say they threatening you when you get there, like, and make you have to run to them, because that's what happened. All these niggas, they go to running to folks when shit pop off. Next thing you know, they got pictures with Jay Prince. You understand me? Nigga in beef. Next thing you know, they got pictures with Big U. You know what I'm saying? It be a lot of this shit going on. It's like, yo, I'm seeing through a lot of this shit because I'm knowing I'm big general in my city. So if I want to, I can turn the heat up on anybody come through here, and can't nobody stop it. You can't make a phone call in my town that can stop whatever I got going on. I don't fall under nobody. You dig what I'm saying? So I can turn the heat on and make it hot. And make a rap nigga scramble, or make an entertainer scramble. But that's how I believe a lot of people has been ran into some of these crews and cliques. Cause when you go through this city, the club is ours on the low. We the one helped them rebuild it. We ain't on no paperwork, but we shot 50 racks through there. Yeah, we gave them 90,000 to start that restaurant everybody go to. Like, so we know when you here, where you at, what dough you using to come out. They serve people like me in my city like they serve y'all when y'all come to my city. So the same routes they take you through them back doors, we know them back doors. They the back doors they take us through. The same restaurants and how they get y'all in and who moving with y'all. Yo, bro, I remember talking to LT on my podcast, and he said, Loon, they depend on you for safety when they come to your town, like if you're a promoter. He said if you're a promoter and a rapper come to your town, they depending on you for safety. You know they whereabouts. And they'll come down there and shuck the promoter. Yeah, nah, man, I ain't doing nothing. You know, I remember one time when I booked people, like I had booked Young Dro. And Dro and them don't even know that that's me right now. Like Young Dro and them, they don't even know I'm the same person that at 20 years old. I had booked him. I booked Waka Flocka. I was booking niggas. But just like I am now, I didn't let nobody in on it from my city. So when Dro got there, I come to find out that because I didn't own the club and I didn't let nobody in, they was doing some backdoor shit on me. Like soon as people was pulling up before the parking lot even filled up, they was saying 50 to par. Then they threw a free party the same day to try to X me out. I didn't know none of this at the time. I was new in the game. I'm coming in with street money. So I'm just saying, yo, let's book some niggas, get some shows going. We got to figure this out. And Young Dro still don't know to this day I'm that dude that booked him when I was 20 years old. 21 years old. We had a relationship for a second, and then it faded off. But I still paid Dro, even though the turnout wasn't really good. The turnout didn't turn out like it needed to turn out. They had a free all black party around the corner, and they was slick hating on me because I didn't let nobody in on the deal. They had asked me when I started pushing on the radio and doing shit that I start throwing parties. And for those of you that's in the promotional field, you know that it's a clique and crew that party shit. All these niggas in different cities, they kind of be knowing each other. I come out the street saying, man, fuck them niggas clique and crew. Nigga, I'm just finna spend some money and do it myself. So they would hit me up. Loon, can I be a part of it? I can invest or put this much in it. I can handle this part. Nah, I'm good, fam. I was showing everybody out. And I think that I still can't confirm it, but I do think that it was a little bit of hating going on with that. But let's get back to YSL Woody. YSL Woody, after telling police all that he's already told them in some of these interviews, in his words, he was lying to try to get out. But after speaking to them in detail and at length, he then comes to trial and he pleads the fifth. When YSL Woody pleads the fifth, he does it in a way that affects the trial. Well, what do you mean? If you're going to plead the fifth, then the state really is not supposed to put you up on the witness stand because it taints the jury. What was even more interesting is that throughout this trial, I think we're 90 days in, the entire time you've heard them say what? Woody told us this, and Woody was a killer, and Woody was this boogeyman, and Woody was one of the people that Thug used to do this X, Y, and Z. After the Donovan Thomas murder, Woody was someone that they flew to Miami to quote-unquote lay low because it was getting hot in the street, paid for by Young Thug. These are the things that they have mentioned throughout the trial. And so for Woody to then get up there and say I'm pleading the fifth live while the jury is in the box was a mistake on behalf of the state and the judge. And so now this turns into a whole different scenario. If you ask me, this trial has went off the rails. Lucci has already got his couple months left. He gonna be out, maybe got some kind of probation. Thug is going through what he's going through, but this particular trial has been off the rails. So after Woody is now brought into court, here's some of the video of him pleading the fifth. Let's go.
All right, Mr. Copeland, go ahead and approach the witness stand. Before you sit down, if you would turn and face Deputy Hand and be sworn as a witness.
Raise your hand. You swear affirm testimony to everybody get a quarter of the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, self?
Yes.
You may be seated. You state your first and last name with the spelling of both, please.
You say that again?
State your first and last name with the spelling of both, please.
Kenneth Copeland.
Mr. Copeland, do me a favor. Pull your chair up as close as you can to the microphone and speak directly into it so we can all hear you. So if you could state and spell your first and last name for the record, please.
Kenneth Copeland.
Spell it, please.
KennethCopeland.
All right. Thank you, sir. All right.
And Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Do you want to be here?
Ma'am,
Do you want to be here?
I'm here.
Okay. Are you going to let me ask you some questions?
Okay.
How old are you?
Grown.
Okay, what does grown mean?
I'm an adult.
Okay. And when you say you're an adult, what number in years are you?
I plead the fifth.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I get you to step outside to your headquarters of jury deliberation, please?
All right, sir.
I can't even cap. That when I knew he was a bug out. None of my Atlanta partners, y'all didn't tell me he was no bug out. Nah, he a bug out. Yeah, how old is you? Grown. How old is that? An adult. Yeah, how many years is that? I plead the fifth. Yeah. Like they ain't got no video. Yeah, he up there rocking the plead the fifth like ain't no videos or nothing. So in my opinion, I believe them to allow him to go in this inconsistency route where he's saying anything and everything and then they bring in the videos. That's me. But that video right there was where he just immediately pleaded the fifth in front of the jury. If you saw what I just saw and heard what I just heard, the judge then said what? Hey, jurors, can I get you to step out because they are never supposed to hear that? Let's look at some more.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Our jury has left us. Mr. Copeland, given the fact that you have invoked your Fifth Amendment privilege, but the state has already given you immunity under 24-5-507, this court holds you in willful contempt, and we'll see you on Monday. And we'll see if we can get some more testimony at that point in time. Take him into custody. All right. State, do you have any other witnesses you plan on calling this afternoon?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. What I'm going to do is I'll call our jury and tell them that you're going to be in recess for the weekend, and we'll come back on Monday.
And then, Your Honor, the jury is excused. Would you please entertain a motion for a mistrial?
Mr. Steele, I'll entertain it right now.
I didn't want to hold the jury, but that'll be fine.
And what's the basis for your mistrial? We didn't know he was going to invoke. We didn't know what he was going to testify to, and I certainly didn't let him. He was only asked one question, so at this point in time,
there's no school expertise, but I have saw and watched enough of these trials and some of these interviews, videos. I was alive for the OJ thing, so I've watched some of court systems and how they work. And so I know enough to know that there's loopholes in every single law for people to wiggle out. In my opinion, it's for the people that created the laws to wiggle out. And so only they would know how to wiggle out of some of this stuff. The reason why I believe black folks to be convicted at an alarming rate is because we don't have the money to hire the people that know how to wiggle out some of these legal loopholes that clearly is there. You can see the same case. You can see the same kind of people affected. You can see the same kind of charges administered. But you'll see a different outcome depending on who it is and who represents them. But the reason why this YSL Woody thing is so crazy, the rules lay out that the jury cannot hear a witness plead the fifth, right? If the rules lay that out, now they're going to argue, well, they only asked him one question. And they only asked him what was his name and how old was he. So that's not anything pertinent to affect the trial. And so they go into these gray areas. And depending on the judge in those kind of matters can get these cases either throughout or he'll say continue with the trial. Now let's hear him and Brian Steele go toe to toe about this scenario.
I mean, you can't knowingly let a witness invoke their Fifth Amendment privilege in front of a jury, but that didn't happen in this case. Last thing we heard from Mr. Colton was he was going to testify.
So everything you say, I'll adopt because I was about to say those words. Based upon information belief, I'd like to call witnesses from the prosecution. I was told, I do not have the personal information, but I was told that Mr. Copeland made that.
Here's something else that I don't appreciate that I think the courts need to address is if you see on this screen right here, this woman, Miss Love, with the short haircut, you know, she does a lot of facial expressions, a lot of emotional outbursts that can affect the way the jury understands what's happening. So if Brian Steele steps up and says objection, and then she throws her hands up and do this emotional outburst, that can start to resonate to the jury that Brian Steele is trying to waste time or he's playing semantics. Brian Steele has the right to object as well as the state. You can object, right? And so if you watch this young lady, she continues to, in my opinion, influence the jury to be biased and look at things the way that she sees them through the lens that she sees them through. Now, they can't see Brian Steele. He's not within that eye shot. She's sitting directly next to the jury, directly next in front of the jury, having emotional outbursts. I think that'll be addressed soon.
Everything you say, I'll adopt because I was about to say those words. Based upon information belief, I'd like to call witnesses from the prosecution. I was told, I do not have the personal information, but I was told that Mr. Copeland made that known to officers of the prosecution team prior to being called right now.
But it's what I was told. I mean, the last thing the court knew, and he has counsel.
If a party knows that a witness is going to invoke the Fifth Amendment in front of a jury, which poisons us, I mean, there's no doubt it prejudices Mr. Williams et al., all of them, because this trial's been going on now, I believe, 8 months in front of a jury, and they've heard Mr. Copeland's name however many times a court reporter says.
Casey, that's what we've heard.
No.
So,
The jurors have heard Kenneth Copeland.
and as well, okay.
I opened on him that he's the killer. We cross-examined all these witnesses about Kenneth Copeland. The state talked about Kenneth Copeland. My point is, if this honorable court finds that the state knew or had reason to believe that he was going to do this in front of a jury, that his response was going to be, I'm invoking the Fifth Amendment, then, Your Honor, yes, I adopt what you said.
Now, it even looks like she moved closer to getting the judge's eyesight then. What was the reason for her to move closer in that opinion? Again, she can do what she wants to do, but I think we need to highlight some of the state's practices in some of these trials. In my opinion, she's trying to sway how the judge feels. I hope the court won't be looking at her for acknowledgement, approval, or anything. But it definitely seems like she just moved to get into the eye view of the judge. Interesting times right now in this courtroom.
That's wrong. I had reason to believe that he was going to do this in front of a jury, that his response was going to be, I'm invoking the Fifth Amendment, then, Your Honor, yes, I adopt what you said. That's wrong of a party, and I'm moving for mistrial.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, sir. Thank you. All right. Yes, sir. It would apply to everyone. Yes, Ms. Love.
Your Honor, I'd just like to put some things on the record regarding Mr. Copeland. As we stated earlier, Mr. Copeland has...
I don't want to interrupt you. Your Honor, I'm just telling the court I am not accepting the proffer.
Your Honor, if I may...
Okay, but counsel gets the proffer, Mr. Steele. I can accept that. So could you sit down at that time, sir?
Sit down.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right, Ms. Love, you can complete your proffer at this point.
Your Honor, yes. Just to relate to the court the observations that members of our office have made throughout the course of this morning and throughout
the time that we've been dealing with Mr. Copeland.
Our cause
for concern is Mr. Copeland's communication that
he is going to us, that he is going to speak, that he is going to speak on the stand, that he is going to testify, and watching what happens when Mr. Copeland gets on the stand. Mr. Copeland did not want to have to be taken into custody. The court gave him the opportunity to have present in court with him someone who is supposed to be representing his best interests. What we have seen is communication, both verbal and nonverbal, between Mr. Copeland's supposed counsel and counsel for defendants. And a look as if I tried from Mr. Copeland's supposed counsel in the direction of counsel for the defendants after Mr. Melnick attempted to assert for Mr. Copeland. May I finish?
Let her finish, Mr. Melnick. Please sit down. I'll let you start. Okay? All right. Thank you, sir.
While Mr. Copeland is on the stand stating that he wants to testify, that he will testify rather. So we are watching, and Mr. Melnick, be captured on film. The court can look at it. Mr. Melnick turns to the direction of counsel for the defendants and motions like, that's it. Then, upon information and belief, as we are standing out waiting for the jury to come in, Mr. Copeland requests to speak with counsel for the state, but Mr. Melnick keeps walking in. Then, as
does he at any point in time tell you I'm not going to testify? I'm invoke the Fifth Amendment.
No. As what happens, as Mr. Copeland requested to speak with the state, Mr. Melnick keeps going in regardless of Mr. Copeland's request to speak with the state. And then we learn that Mr. Melnick tells Mr. Copeland they are going to hammer you. So Ms. Hilton comes back in and asks me, had I spoken with Mr. Melnick? Had I told him that we are going to hammer Mr. Copeland? The state had not made any such communication with anybody. So what we are seeing, we believe, is tampering with witnesses, this particular witness on the part of people who are not the state. So we are concerned. I don't know that Mr. Copeland's interest is being represented when that interest may not be in alignment with the people that Mr. Melnick is communicating with on breaks. And after Mr. Copeland has communicated to this court, he will testify. So watching the goings on as Mr. Copeland is not on the stand, it has been publicized, it has been hyped up that Mr. Copeland is the next witness. Mr. Copeland is the witness. And then Mr. Copeland, he's been nothing but cordial. He's been nothing but communicative with Ms. Hilton during the time that she has been interviewing him and speaking with him. And the reason Ms. Hilton was not in here just now when the jury came out is that Mr. Copeland asked to speak with Ms. Hilton. But Mr. Melnick kept going back in there and going back in there and going back in there. And the reason that we have a problem with this is that Mr. Copeland is not facing any charges. For Mr. Melnick to suggest or say to him that we're going to hammer him, it causes us to call into question whose interests he's representing. And so we would ask that, you know, what I haven't even thought of in my mind an appropriate remedy at this point, because it is wrong for parties to inject themselves on behalf of purportedly one person.
So the allegation here is that the reason why he is now pleading the fifth is he's been tampered with by Brian Steele, which is Young Thug's lawyer, and his whole defense team, which represents, I believe, the 5 people that's in this courtroom, maybe 7, that's actually did not take a deal. But I imagine that in this kind of circumstance, that's what you allege. That's the kind of stuff that you allege. That's what you say when your witness flips. Oh, they are messing with him. Like, you have to say something because you have to be able to defend yourself. And this is what I appreciate about the court system, is that each party has a chance to say what they need to say. They get to interpret the rules the way that they see them. Case law is also brought into evidence as it pertains to strengthening their argument about how they interpreted the law. For me, it's a mental game. It's a game of the minds. It's of the highest level of mental warfare, if you ask me. It's up there with war, and all these different things like that. I mean, because if you believe war is just handled by pure brute force, then you're wrong. There's strategy involved in war. And so the mental capacity of people that are going to war needs to be of the highest level as well. But when you look at this, if you're asking someone like me, which whoever's looking at this is clearly asking me, this is them pushing back on the fact that how did he just plead the fifth? So then you move on to day 2. As you heard, the judge did ask for them to take him into custody. And in day 2, what did they do? They let him stay in jail over the weekend. And then he comes out on day 2, and this is how he starts. Let's look.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I got said back.
You haven't said anything yet. On Friday when we left, I asked you how old you are. You said you were grown. Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Copeland, good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I got said back.
You haven't said anything yet. On Friday when we left, I asked you how old you are. You said you were grown. Can you please tell me how old you are?
Say that again.
Sure. Can you please tell the jury how old you are in numbers?
32.
And when is your birthday?
Say that again.
When is your birthday? I'm sorry. When is your birthday?
Next month.
Is that July?
I think so.
Okay. And were you born on July 25th?
I guess.
Okay. Are you from Atlanta?
I'm from Candyville.
Okay. Is that a section of the city in Atlanta?
I guess.
Yes. All right. And did you grow up in Mechanicsville?
For sure.
Did you say for sure? All right. And when you grew up, do you have siblings?
Huh?
Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
All right. And when you were younger, did you live with all your brothers and sisters?
Objection, relevance. Overruled, sir. Yeah.
Okay. I want to specifically talk about your brothers. How many brothers do you have?
Overruled, sir. More than one.
Okay. How many?
I think 3.
All right. And what are your 3 brothers' names?
Overruled, sir. Trey, not boss.
Say that one more time. You said it fast.
Nato, Trey's boss.
Nato, Trez, and Boss. Okay. Nato. What's Nato's given name? Or you just give me the first name.
I just did.
Nato?
Yeah.
Okay. Trez. What's Trez's first name?
Trey's.
Is Trez's first name Ron Trez?
I guess.
All right. And Nato, is that Rodney?
I guess.
Okay. And then what's the third nickname you gave me?
Boss.
Is Boss Rodriguez?
I guess.
All right. And when you were younger, did you go to school?
Yes.
Where did you attend school?
I don't know. I went to a lot of different schools.
Okay. What are all the schools you went to?
I don't recall all of them.
Oh, just tell me some of them.
I only know one. Slater.
Slater. Is that elementary school or middle school?
Elementary.
Why you don't remember what middle school you went to? Did you go to middle school?
I think I stopped. I did.
How long did you go to? Did you finish middle school?
Relevance.
Overruled. Yeah, I think.
Okay. Did you go to high school at all?
Yeah.
All right. When you went to high school, did you go to Southside?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Overruled, sir.
Did you graduate high school?
No.
All right. Do you remember what year you left high school?
No.
All right. After high school, did you work?
No.
What did you do after high school if you weren't working?
Say that again.
Did you do anything? If you weren't working, what were you doing?
I don't recall.
Okay. Are you married?
Nope.
Are you in a relationship?
Nope.
Right. Do you have children?
You know that.
Okay. I do, but the jury doesn't. Do you have children?
Yep.
All right. How many?
More than one.
All right. Do you have more than 3?
I might. Ain't no telling.
Okay. That's perfect. That's fair. Do you have 2 that you know of?
Yeah.
All right. And how old are your 2 children?
The same age.
What's that?
I don't know. Y'all been having me in jail so long. I can't recall.
Okay. Were you in jail on Friday? Prior to?
Yeah, I was in jail Friday.
Were you in jail on Thursday?
Thursday ain't came yet.
No, last Thursday.
I felt like it.
All right. When you weren't in jail last Thursday, although you felt like it, how old were your children?
I don't know the ages.
Okay. Are you currently working?
I'm in jail.
Prior to going to jail on Friday, are you currently working?
Nope.
All right. Now, you talked about being in jail, which was on Friday. Prior to any of this, do you have any criminal convictions?
Of course.
Okay. Do you know offhand how many?
Don't keep up with it.
Okay. Tell the jurors the types of crimes that you've been convicted of.
Driving without license.
Okay. What else?
Driving with suspended license.
Okay. What else?
Ran in front of police.
All right. What else? Let me ask, do you have a theft?
I'll be putting charges on me, so I go to jail for the charges y'all throw on me.
Okay. Do you have a conviction for theft by taking?
You tell me?
Okay. Do you recall having a conviction for theft by taking from 2009?
What did I take?
Yes or no?
I don't know what happened in 2009.
Okay. Do you recall having any convictions for aggravated assault?
Probably so.
All right. What about conviction for entering auto?
I don't know.
Okay. What about for terroristic threats?
What about it?
Do you have a conviction for terroristic threats?
I think they were with the aggravated assault.
Okay. What?
Now, as you see, after spending 3 days in jail, for some reason, Woody doesn't want to plead the fifth anymore, and he agreed to testify. This now calls into question, how did that change so quick? Again, I believe they have a strong case for an appeal with all of the blunders that's been happening along this trial. But in particular with Woody going to jail for 3 days and now testifying, you ask yourself, how do you get there? Well, we may have an answer here by Brian Steele when he confronts the judge about exactly what he heard. And this is where bombshells were dropped that Kenneth Copeland, aka Lil Woody, had met with the judge and the prosecution without Young Thug's lawyer being present or made aware of any such meeting. Let's look at how this transpires in court and how it plays out.
Sorry, I have a motion that I need to make outside the presence of Mr. Copeland.
All right, you can make it right now. Is he out?
Let me know when you get down to the.
Is Mr. Copeland out?
No, he's upstairs.
Okay, good. All right.
Yeah, come on down. Don't come in the courtroom. Come when you get to the back. All right.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
The way I understand my constitutional obligations, pursuant to the 6th and 14th Amendments of the United States Constitution, the corresponding sections of the Georgia Constitution, I'm required to make a full and complete statement to the court. For the record, and if God forbid this goes up on appeal for the appellate courts or another tribunal, commission, or administrative body, I was told, based upon information and belief, that when we arrived at 8:30, 9 o'clock today, we did not come into your courtroom until almost 11:30. And what I found out just recently, this is not waived, is that supposedly in chambers, this honorable court reporter at times, honorable court at times, district attorney or district attorneys from the DA's office, as well as investigators, sheriff deputies, Mr. Copeland and his counsel met together. None of the defense team, to my knowledge, was aware that this was going on. It was told, based upon information belief, that it was told to the district attorneys that Mr. Copeland intended to plead the Fifth Amendment. Then I was told, based upon information belief, that Adrian Love, the lawyer for Mr. Copeland, and this court were together, and Ms. Love made representations that John Melnick supposedly spoke with some attorneys for the accused and wrote an email to Ms. Love, to Adrian Love, stating that Mr. Melnick does not represent the witness, and that Mr. Melnick wrote an email saying F you, and then somehow that email was CC'd to me. That never...
Mr. Steele, can I interrupt you just a second? I'm kind of disturbed because that's ex parte. All that was an ex parte conversation. How did you find out about any of that?
Well, I'm disturbed too. And the reason
I'm asking you a question. How did you find out about it?
I'm going to ask you the question.
Okay.
Scuttle, if you look at SCUDDER versus State, which is 298 Georgia, 438, it's Division 2, 782 Southeast 2D 638, 2016. Our highest court says when a court meets, because Mr. Copeland comes in, meets with the court supposedly made statements, which I assume is somewhat accurate based upon what you just said. We're entitled, Mr. Williams and every other person wrongly charged here is entitled under the Georgia Constitution to be present. That's a critical stage.
It's just like when you meet with me, and you and Mr. Adams meet with me, and others have met with me. It's those are ex parte for a lot of different other reasons, but I will certainly note that for purposes of record.
Well, I'm going forward. What I was told was that Mr. Copeland said,
and you haven't answered my question yet.
I'm not going to answer that question.
You're not?
No, I will not answer that question.
Why will you not answer that question?
Because I want to make sure that what I say is accurate, and I'm not trying to get anybody else.
I'm asking you, how did you get this information?
I'm not telling the court. What I'm saying is based upon information.
Okay, well, listen, if you don't tell me how you got this information, then you and I are going to have some problems.
We can have this. I have problems right now.
Okay, I know. Look, I don't want to know about your problems, okay, at this point in time. All I'm asking you at this point in time is, how did you come upon this information? Look, if the case gets reviewed, the record's going to be available for our appellate court and for whatever reason. But it's disturbing that how somehow you have surreptitiously gotten information in regards to the court's private ex parte conversations with a party. I mean,
a witness who was sworn in Friday The court's telling, this is what I was told. If this is not true, not true. This court
Mr. Steele,
handed
ask
Mr.
me,
Copeland.
tell me how you
perjury.
got the information.
Listen, whatever you want to do.
Tell me how you got the information, then we can go ahead and go forward.
I'm not going to say that. What I'm going to say is this. I was told, and I hope this concerns the court.
It concerns me that you have proprietary information.
Why is it
or
proprietary?
Information that you should not be having that was ex parte.
Why?
With a party.
Why?
State of Georgia.
How about the witness? How about Mr. Copeland, who supposedly announced he's not testifying and he'll sit for 2 years, and then supposedly this honorable court.
Okay.
Let me rephrase that. This court supposedly said, I can hold you until the end of this trial. Ms. Hilton supposedly said, actually, all of the defendants and then all 26 people are disposed of. If that's true, what this is coercion, witness intimidation, ex parte communications that we have a constitutional right to be present for. So I understand that you're upset towards me, but I don't know what I did.
Mr. Steele, I still want to know, how did you come upon this information? Who told you?
What I want to know is, why wasn't I there? Why,
sir? I'm going to hold you in contempt if you don't tell me who that. Tell me who this information.
So you see the threats of contempt. For people who don't know what that means, it means I'm going to lock you up as a lawyer of 33 years with a flawless record. I'm going to send you to jail if you don't tell me how you got this information. What we're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, is the equivalent of your girlfriend going in your phone, however she got into your phone, figured out that, yo, you've been cheating on me and you have another family across the city. You have another family on the west side. She comes at you about the unannounced child that you had, and you say, yo, you broke my trust. You went in my phone. How dare you look in my phone when you ain't got no business looking in my phone? And instead of answering the question as to, you mean to tell me you've had another family or you've been married the entire time and I just slipped up on this information, you'll tell her you a dirty motherfucker for going inside of my phone without me knowing. That's the equivalent of what we're dealing with at a very low level. Now, what's interesting is according to Brian Steele right here, there's something you may have missed that he said. He said that in the meeting that you had with Kenneth Copeland, which is YSL Woody, and the prosecution, you guys let him know that not only do you lock him up until Thug is out of the way, which would have probably been a mistrial immediately. So that's that. But not only that, but I'm going to hold you until all 27 people are done with. That says to him that he may be facing another 5 years just for not saying something. Now, what I believe to happen, and we'll get to the rest of this argument here in a second, what I believe to happen for Woody is that some legal counsel explained to him how to answer questions, because if he does testify and they catch him lying, then they get him for perjury. But we're going to set that to the side for a minute and examine this altercation between this judge and Brian Steele, who's been practicing law for 33 years. Here's a judge that's upset that he had a conversation with a sworn-in witness outside of the presence of any legal defense team, outside of the presence of any of the defense legal team. And now he's classifying it ex parte, which means some kind of protected conversation. So now he threatens to throw him in jail. Pay attention.
Well, I'm not answering that question. That's attorney-client privilege information. I am not answering
attorney-client privilege. Unless you were in my chambers, that's the only way you can figure out.
I tell you
what, I'm going to give you 5 minutes. If you don't tell me if you don't tell me who it is, I'm going to put you in, I'm going to put you in contempt, because that is not attorney-client privilege.
Attorney work product privilege. I am not.
How did you get that information supposedly from my chambers? Did somebody tell you?
I'm not. You should have told me.
You got 5 minutes.
Well, I don't need it. I want to continue.
You got 5 minutes?
This is what I was told. Mr. Copeland made statements that he admitted to killing Donovan Thomas and was. Don't take my notes. No.
What I imagine happened at that break is for him to go try to look at some case law, see how he can wiggle out of whatever scenario he finds himself in. Brian Steele had the attorney-client work product privilege that he's going to stand on. You know, most lawyers would have just gave the information. Now, this honorable court, I'm going to go ahead and give the information out of interest of da-da-da. For Brian Steele, he's riding all the way. So whatever happened. And he is effectively putting himself in a scenario where he could go to jail for this. Now, he knows who he is, so I'm not staying in jail for this. I'm sure in his mind he's saying, there's no way I'm staying in jail for no shit like this. I ain't done anything. And then they had a meeting outside of our knowledge with a sworn in witness. So I have every right to try to bring this to the court's attention. But you see the judge, and we've saw this before in Meek Mill's case, where the judges get this power trip and they'll start slinging mud. And then they'll just already be known in their head, yo, I'm retiring after this. But I'll sling mud all around this courtroom. So he's basically saying, snitch on how you got the information or go to jail. Brian Steele is saying, I'm going to jail. Let's pay attention to what happens after that break.
All right.
All right. Mr. Steele, before I recessed, I asked you, how did you get this information? And it is not covered by work product. There's only one way you could have gotten it. So I'm going to ask you again.
And I respect that. And it gives me no joy. But as you know, Georgia Rule of Professional Conduct, please check me. Rule 1.6, comment 5 reads, and this is what I have. 1.6.
I know what the rule says, but here's the thing.
Well,
there's only one way you could have gotten it. So I'm going to ask you again.
And I respect that. And it gives me no joy. But as you know, Georgia Rule of Professional Conduct, please check me. Rule 1.6, comment 5 reads, and this is what I have. 1.6.
I know what the rule says, but here's the thing.
Well, you
need to please tell me who you got it from. I'm not asking you sum and substance of anything as of yet, okay? But I need you to tell me how you got the information. If you don't tell me how you got the information, I'm going to hold you in contempt.
I understand. I don't want to be held in contempt.
And I don't want to hold you in contempt, but this is so sacrosanct to have a conversation in my chambers parroted to you and others. It is that serious.
Yeah. That's why I raised it. It is that serious that we should have been there and it shouldn't have happened.
Sir, that's a whole separate issue. And that's why ex parte conversations are recorded.
Why would it be ex parte? You're acting like it's ex parte under seal.
It's ex parte because that's what the state asked me to do. It's just like when you asked me for an ex parte conversation.
I've never asked this honorable court or any court to meet with me and a witness.
Sir, you're straying off the issue.
I'm not.
The issue is how did you get this information?
I understand the issue. I promise you I understand it. But what I'm trying to ask you is, if you look at comment 5, this is how I understand the law.
You cannot you can't violate something and then use privilege. Okay?
I'm not violating anything.
Okay, but that's why I'm saying, how did you get information?
But just listen to what I'm trying to tell you. You're threatening me with contempt.
The privilege in 1.6 would occur if you were in the right place, right time to begin with. You weren't.
Let me tell you. I'm just reading from it. But if I'm reading it wrong, I'm not trying to. It says 1.6 applies not merely to matters communicated in confidence by the client, but also to all information gained in the professional relationship, whatever its source. So you're asking me to break, you're ordering me, maybe. You're asking me, I'm not saying you're ordering, but to give you information, and you're saying it's not sum and substance, but I'm telling you I can't do that under the bar rule.
All right, well, I'm going to hold you in contempt. And you can think about it. 5 o'clock today, we'll see where you are at that stand on that point. Because no, that's not what I understand the rule to be. I've not asked you sum and substance of what was said. I asked you how you got it.
You can't do that.
Yes, you can, because I have an idea how you got it.
Well, your idea.
I have an idea how you got it, but that's improper, sir.
Your idea may be wrong, and you're asking me to listen. I told you the first time. And I'm not sure.
I don't want to hold you in contempt, but this is that serious.
Judge,
you cannot eavesdrop and get information that was not meant for you to hear at that particular point in time.
Judge, listen, and listen, I'll do whatever you want to 5 o'clock or thereafter. But what I'm trying to tell you is, Your Honor, this is so serious to me. We need a hearing, and I'm moving for a mistrial. It is my understanding, based upon information belief,
from whom?
Part of it.
From whom?
Well, I'd like to get the substance first, and then we can.
Okay, well, then you'll be in custody until then, because you need to tell me how you got the information. I'm not asking you what was said. You've already kind of given us some snippets of what you said. That tells me that somebody parroted that information to you. So,
but you're assuming something because I told you already.
well, then, other than if you were sitting, unless you were sitting in there with a recorder, or Miss Love, or Miss Hilton, or one of the deputies gave you that information, or Miss Weaver shot you a rough copy of the transcript, there's only one other person that's left.
Well, Your Honor.
And if that person gave you that information or shared that information with you, she probably violated privilege.
Well, let me tell you two things. One, I don't know how that is a privileged communication. It shouldn't be.
Well, it's because she has a client she's supposed to represent.
Who are you talking about?
But anyways, I'm not going to have I'm not going to have any further conversation with you about this. I want to know, the question still remains. I want to know who gave you the information?
I'd like to know what information happened outside of presence. That's really it.
He can go into custody at this point in time.
I think that the court needs to again declare a mistrial based upon.
Okay, and I'm going to deny your motion. I'm going to deny your motion.
I understand that you spoke with the witness outside of our presence.
And whenever, yes, I had an ex parte conversation, which is appropriate.
And you influenced the witness based on information belief, and I'd like to have that all on the record. All right. I mean, I don't know why that's so hard to do. If nothing happened bad, that's fine. But you're acting like, tell me who it is and don't talk about the substance. Why can't we have an issue that was outside of presence? It should not have been.
Because you got some information that you shouldn't have gotten.
Why?
Well, that's for another day.
But why?
Okay?
Why
that's for another day.
In the first place, I didn't know about this.
That's for another day. So
I raised it as soon as we found out about it.
Well,
I gave you the case I'm relying on. I assume you read it. If you didn't read it, you should read it. It's a material part, a critical part of the case. When a judge speaks with a witness outside the presence of the accused, the court has said it's right there in Division 2. Okay. That is a material or critical part of the case, and it's an automatic reversal.
Mr. Steele.
But you're acting like it's
Mr. Steele. That is not that is not the case when somebody discloses information in a ex parte conversation that one of the parties lawfully asked me to hold.
You're not supposed to have communication with a witness who's been sworn. You know that I'm not telling you. I'm just saying if you read I'm assuming you read it. That's what it says, and you did it.
Does the state wish to be heard?
You said it supposedly.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what I'm trying to get to is why did that happen outside of presence? And I need to have the.
That's him calling for help. Does the state need to be heard? They ain't even said nothing. That's him calling for help because he know he begging me in the corner. I don't really know how to wiggle out of this. Like, y'all need to help me wiggle out of this. That's what it comes off as, because the state didn't object. So in court, there's indicators. There's things that you can do to let Your Honor know and the court know that, yo, I'm ready to speak, or hold on, I need to say something about that. The state never objected to anything. Why all of a sudden does the judge scream, does the state want to be heard? In the middle of him having a discourse with Brian Steele, which is Young Thug's lawyer, about having a meeting with the lead witness outside of the accused defense. I mean, to me, this is a very interesting time. It seems like corruption. Pay attention.
I'm respectfully requesting the transcript that you mentioned to be given to us so we could really understand it. And then anything that was not on the transcript, if anything, that we understand what happened outside our presence.
Okay.
And now you have put it where somehow I have to reveal, and I told you the first time, I'd be breaching 1.6. And I know you're assuming something.
I don't think you're breaching 1.6. You can't hide behind 1.6.
I'm not hiding behind anything.
You can't hide behind, yeah, but the thing is, I think you got this information. Somebody disclosed it to you, and that's the only way you could have gotten it.
What I got.
Because unless you're sitting there, you're eavesdropping. So you can't use something ordinarily that you had no business getting to begin with, and then stand on, well, hey, we didn't give you the information, or the party didn't give you the information. So,
Your Honor, but that's the issue, isn't it?
Well,
why aren't we
that leads to be told. But
right now, we don't know why we were excluded from that.
Mr. Steele,
and I want that information because Mr. Williams' constitutional right, the Georgia Constitution.
Just stop at this point in time, because
Article 1,
because you already said that. You've already said
the Georgia
that.
Constitution, and we have the right to be present.
All right, Mr.
And we're not waiving anything.
Yes, madam, Ms. Love.
And Your Honor, excuse me. And I know I said this previously.
Yes, sir.
But we are not accepting any proffer from Ms. Love.
Okay, excuse me.
Okay, all right.
To the court. The court has inquired. We have no way of knowing what it is or who it was that disclosed information that was contained within an ex parte conversation. Not only was there an ex parte communication between that we requested as a state to be on record with the court, but there was communication made, I believe, to a person and his lawyer. I don't know that the reason that counsel took the podium was to address that particular issue so much as it was to try and assert an inaccurate, what he calls fact, and put it out there in the open as if it were true. But we certainly have the right to request ex parte communications. That's why we ask that the court reporter be present. This is a matter that the defendants did not have a right to be a part of, as this was a matter regarding a civil contempt that the court imposed upon a person for not obeying the court's directive. The state read the case that Mr. Steele cited. It does not stand for the proposition. He asserts that it does. And regarding further legal support for our position, we would provide that to the court, but we are more concerned that information that is disclosed in an ex parte setting gets relayed to the parties who are not privy to that. The whole purpose of the ex parte request was so that that did not happen. And we expressed on the record our concerns and our reasons for concern regarding that. We believe that without more information about how that information got relayed to the defendants, we cannot make the kind of assertion I'd be inclined to make. So before making the next set of assertions, I would need to know how that information was made privy to them.
So what you're seeing is on the record, because it's important that it's just not the judge against the defense team back and forth. He has to insert the state in there so he can still act like he's remaining impartial and just weighing in on these two gripes, because it seemed like the state wasn't objecting to the meeting. Nothing that was said. They was just like, oh my God, he found out. But what you're dealing with is the judge said, does the state want to be heard? That's signaling. That's a signal. Get up and say something so I can do my 1-2. Now, what you hear her say is another mental jujitsu mind trick was what? Your Honor, before we can move forward, we kind of need to know who told him. And so long as she's on the record presenting that, that gives him the ability to act like he's impartial and weigh in those two having that point of contention and that disagreement as to how things got where they are. But if we are going from the natural order of things, it actually looked like that she wasn't going to object to anything being said.
To counsels for the defendant. We did not act inappropriately or outside of the rules of professional responsibility. And if need be, we will reach out to the state bar ourselves and ask what the appropriate remedy is for everything that has happened over the last 2 days, well, the last 2 work days, because we are extremely concerned. We have observed a number of actions on the parts of a number of people that I am not comfortable stating publicly at this time, but that would appear to call for being addressed in some other way. So as to Mr. Steele's request, I guess it was for mistrial. I'm not even certain what all that was. I think it was probably more to make inaccurate assertions on the record public to whomever was within listening shot of his voice. And we would ask that the court strike everything that he said from the time he stood up and started talking after the court asked him where it was that he obtained the information that was made privy in counsel for this court.
All right.
And regarding Rule 1.6, Your Honor, we read 1.6 as standing there. 1.6 in no way shields Mr. Steele's answer that the court requested he give. Rule 1.6 has to do with attorney-client privilege, and that is information that Mr. Steele obtained from his client regarding whatever matters. I don't know if the information was leaked to his client from someone who was in chambers, or if the information was leaked directly to Mr. Steele. In either event, it is concerning and in no way falls under the protections of Rule 1.6. If the court would allow me a moment.
All right.
Regarding further appropriate remedies, Your Honor, we would ask the court for an opportunity to further look into appropriate remedies for circumstances such as this, apart from what the court has already said, because it's grave enough when information is leaked from within the court's chambers regarding a matter that has been requested as ex parte, and we would ask for the opportunity to present to the court additional appropriate remedies that we believe are available.
All right. Sure.
And Your Honor, also, unless it's Mr. Adams representing Mr. Steele in the capacity as someone who has been held in contempt, Mr. Steele just argued whatever it is that they are trying to argue based on information we believe illegally obtained from the court's chambers.
I represent Mr. Williams, and my statements are in regards to my representation of Mr. Williams. He has two attorneys.
Okay, yeah, he does, but
the court, now having found Mr. Steele in contempt, if the court continues in that position, that leaves Mr. Williams represented, at least at this juncture, by myself. That puts me in a position of making sure the court is aware that I'm in receipt of the same information that Mr. Steele received. I'm of the same opinion that the court has engaged in behavior that I believe compromises and corrupts the continuation of this trial. I do believe that we are entitled to and should receive a copy of the transcript so that a full investigation can be made as to what we believe has occurred here. And so I take the same position as Mr. Steele. I am asking for a mistrial, as he did previously, and I'm telling the court that I do not believe that we can proceed at this point based upon the information that we've received.
All right, so
and frankly, I don't believe the state has any say in that. My statements are in regards to my representation of Mr. Williams, and if Mr. Steele is going to be held in contempt, I have exactly the same position. I also do not.
Well, I asked him, so I didn't ask you.
Yeah.
So, but I'll leave it at that. Okay. What is it, Mr. Sharp?
Thank you, Your Honor. As you know, I represent Shannon Stillwell. On behalf of Shannon Stillwell, I am going to be moving for a mistrial, first and foremost. I just want to clear up a few things that have been said. Today, we were instructed to come 8:30 for a 9 o'clock start. I would not be honest with the court if I said I was here at 8:30, but I was probably here at about 8:40. We did not start till approximately, I'm estimating 11 o'clock. Clearly, we figured something was going on. We were given no information about any meeting, who was meeting, what the meeting was about, or whether the meeting was ex parte or not ex parte, who requested the meeting, who was in the meeting. We were completely in the dark. And quite frankly, we kind of remain in the dark. I am not a false accuser, okay? I do not just willy-nilly accuse people of things. So I'm not going to throw out spurious allegations like the ones that have been thrown at me over the past couple days that are absurd. But I will say, Your Honor, what I do know is just based on what we've heard over the last 20 minutes, it appears there was a meeting that I knew nothing about that involved Your Honor, the district attorneys, and a witness who had been sworn in. My client was not given an opportunity to be present at this critical stage. This was a critical stage in this trial. That error is a foundational structural error in this case, and it is the cause for an immediate mistrial. Additionally, Your Honor, I believe that this meeting, again, I'm going to ask for the transcript and I'm going to ask for the recordings as well, should they exist. But I believe that this meeting with a witness without us present may have made the district attorneys and or Your Honor a witness to this in this case, a material witness in this case. And finally, Your Honor, I'm going to ask for as soon as possible, I'm going to ask that these proceedings be halted until we can obtain an accurate final transcript for what occurred where none of the defendants or defense counsel were present for. And also the recordings of that meeting so we can see where we are. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and make false accusations or spurious allegations, but I do think we need to figure out what happened. We need to be in the know and not in the dark about what happened when a meeting occurs with a witness that has been sworn in.
So what you're going to see over these videos that we just played is you're watching, in my opinion, Young Thug and the rest of the defense team, Counsel, head into a different aspect of this fight. It's almost like a Javante Davis or one of these guys fighting, Bud Crawford, Boots, one of these guys fighting. And about the third round, they see oh, y'all want to fight like that. So I'm going to play to the judges. So I'm going to start just tapping you, knowing that we playing a points game. I ain't going to brawl with you because you don't want to brawl. You know, Floyd Mayweather was famous for whooping you on the scorecards, right? Because he playing to the judges. And so that's the exact same thing we're seeing here. We're seeing that Young Thug and their defense team are saying, okay, in our opinion, the judge isn't being fair and he's not going to be honest and impartial how he views this trial. So now I'm playing to the scorecards, which is the record. So all of these conversations you hear them having, this is an appeal to the record. This is an appeal on the record. All these conversations are on the record. There's someone typing this. So when they go to the appeal process, they get to tell the appellate courts, look, we were saying this, we were saying this. This is what we said in real time. They just ignored it. I do think the situation where they had this meeting is damaging to the trial. I'm going to spare us the rest of this video, and we're going to look at the point in time when he made a decision to go ahead and take Brian Steele into custody.
You all are really getting yourselves cross purposes at this point in time. Sir, I'm telling you, you are at this point in time. You made some things out of nothing. I think that you're on very precarious ground at this point in time. So I'm telling you at this point in time, he's in custody. We're going to go ahead and start. You can represent Mr. Williams. That's okay. That's fine. I'll take up the other stuff as needed, but I'm not going to take it up right now.
Respectfully, I will not.
Say again?
Respectfully, I will not. I cannot.
Sir, you have to. Well, you're going to have to do the best you can at this point in time, because you don't get to extort the court. That's what you're attempting to do at this point in time. Sir, yes, you are. What you're trying to do is, I'm not going forward if I don't get this. You know, it doesn't work that way, Mr. Adams. And I'm telling you at this point in time, I would just kind of govern yourself accordingly. Sir, I'm telling you, as the court, under these particular circumstances, everything will come out as it should. I don't think, sir, I don't have enough information at this point in time to address it. I don't. But I'm telling you at this point in time, there is nothing that was given, said, whatever, this morning.
If there is any accuracy to some of the information that we are.
But sir, I don't even know. Your co-counsel won't even tell me who said whatever. Okay. And the challenge I'm having in this particular circumstance is that is such a violation of the sacrosanctness of the court's chambers and an ex parte conversation. You're just glossing over that. You're glossing over that in its entirety. No, it's not, sir. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. That's not what happened. I'm just telling you, that's not what happened.
Judge, respectfully, we are not obligated to simply accept that there's been no violation. We believe that there has been.
Okay, well then you've made it. No, we're not doing that at this point in time. So you'll have a choice to make. All right, take Mr. Steele into custody, please.
Your Honor, would the court afford me one moment to confer with counsel regarding the appropriate remedy in this type of
situation? Okay, all right.
May I say one thing, Your Honor?
Yes, sir, you certainly may.
Mr. Williams does not wish to go forward without me being here. You are removing me against his will, my will. You're taking away his right to counsel. And you're conducting material parts of this trial without me present, and I can't learn about it by watching online. So for that reason, additionally, I asked for a mistrial. And I assume you denied, but I'd like you to deny our motions for mistrial. You denied the other people.
I denied your motion, but I'll certainly take that under advisement, sir. We're going to be in recess for the next 5 minutes.
So you see this judge make one of the bolder moves I've ever seen in the history of court proceedings, which is lock this lawyer up because he wouldn't tell you how he got that information. Now, After that, they did pull up case law that supports that lawyers have been locked up before, but this is a very rare occurrence for Brian Steele to be so respected in his genre, in his practice, and to have to go through that. That is devastating. That's devastating, but I truly believe he laid on the cross for Thug. Also, after he done this to Brian Steele, what happens? You guessed it. 25 lawyers show up. They said 2-3 dozen lawyers show up outside of the courtroom because now you got all of us upset. Now you got people that's just going to be combing through all of the paperwork, all of your rulings. You got 25 different lawyers that's now going to be obsessed with your handling of this trial and your abuse of power in that way. Brian Steele still have not said anything up until this point, but he calls in the big dogs. What we're about to watch now is the lawyer that made Fannie Willis bag up off of Donald Trump. Her name's Ashley Merchant. She is not one of them. The judge tried to hold court. It didn't want the spectacle of having all of those lawyers come in because they were there to support Brian Steele and him being held in criminal contempt for not sharing what he is calling privileged information that could compromise his status with the person that he's representing, which is Young Thug. All of these lawyers show up. The judge now brings up some sort of safety issue and he doesn't want all the lawyers in. Let's pay attention to Ashley and how she navigates around these very, very tough terrains. Pay attention.
Needs to be present. All right. Thank you for your patience, counsels. The court's had an opportunity to reflect, and Mr. Steele, if I could ask you to take the podium, please, as well. Now stand next to your attorneys. Sergeant Brown's everybody present? Needs to be present. All right. Thank you for your patience, counsels. The court's had an opportunity to reflect, and Mr. Steele, if I could ask you to take the podium, please, as well. Now stand next to your attorneys. Okay, Ms. Merchant, Mr. Steele, and I apologize.
Mr. Susar, Judge.
One more time?
Susar.
What? Spell your last name for us.
S-U-S-O-R. Sierra, uniform, Sierra, Oscar.
You're a good man. Good man. Okay, all right. Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, Mr. Susar as well. All right, counsels, I've made a clarification to the order of contempt. Mr. Steele, I am going to hold you still hold you in summary criminal contempt, pursuant to OCJ 15-1-3, subpart 3, for your failure to comply with my earlier order today. I'm going to order that you be taken into custody, incarcerated in Fulton County Jail for no more than 20 days for this contempt. Those 20 days consisting of every weekend for the next 10 weekends. And you'll be reporting to 901 Wright Street Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318, etc.
Okay, so let me catch y'all up because they didn't address this. First, he was going to send him to jail and let him stay in jail. It had got so out of hand that even the state stood up and said, Your Honor, can you please not do this? Because that'll ruin your case. What you're doing is you're putting Thug in trial without his lead attorney. That's not a fair trial. The dude didn't know everything about the case. You locking him up because he won't tell you about some information. So you're violating his constitutional right, which is he is able to have an attorney. And so he had got so power drunk that even the state had to stand up and say, Your Honor, can you please rethink that? And can we please have Brian Steele out here while the trial is going on? Maybe you take him in jail afterwards, but we definitely want him to be present for Young Thug and his cross-examination and all these different things because they know that's an automatic appeal. And so he then goes into his chambers, looking at some case law, and then this is where we are now. He comes back with this stuff. Pay attention.
7 p.m. on Fridays, and will be released on 7 p.m. on Sundays, and it's to commence this Friday, June the 14th at 7 p.m., and not to end until Sunday, August the 18th at 2024, 7 p.m., subject to further order of this court. And that will be entered and e-filed, and you may take whatever steps you and your counsel deem appropriate after that. Okay?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm going to file a notice of appeal, but for whatever reason that doesn't take, and you don't give a bond, then I'd ask that I can be with Mr. Williams and we work on our case all weekend, for all those weekends. Otherwise, I can't prepare. I speak with Mr. Williams all the time.
That's up to you. And sir, I will, sir, if that comes to pass, you have my support. I will talk with our sheriff and we may be able to make that work. Okay. If that should occur. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's the real deal, Brian Steele. You hear me? Yeah, that's the real deal, Brian Steele. You heard what he said? Yo, Yana, if you is gonna lock me up, I need to stay with Thug so we can chop it up by the trial. Otherwise, I can't. See, this is what you got to notice about lawyers and how he is understanding that they're on the record. So he's gonna say, otherwise, I can't prepare, because if you don't allow that, there's another loophole we can explore. Like you leaving shit open. And again, when you have the judge against you, you now play to the judges, which is the record.
That affords Mr. Williams the right during these proceedings while court is in session to both counsel for both of his counsels. For Mr. Steele to be present in the courtroom, he can still be held in contempt. But for Mr. Williams to have representation of both Mr. Steele and Mr. Adams while court is in session, and that the court's remedy does not affect his ability to have his counsel of choice represent him during this trial.
Now, later in the day, and I mean the evening after 7 p.m., attorney Ashley Merchant came to court to represent Brian Steele in this contempt matter.
Judge, just for the record, is it criminal contempt that you held him in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and you said you had a hearing earlier today.
No, and with criminal contempt, I told him what the contempt was, and that was he refused to tell, order the court. If counsel, as you know, if the court orders you to do something and you don't, that's criminal contempt. So I've asked him several times, please just tell me who it is that told you. I didn't ask or inquire about anything that was said. I just want to know who it was. Because he's got too much detail of this particular alleged conversation for the court to be concerned about it. So,
and Judge, since it is a criminal contempt, he is entitled to due process. He's entitled to a hearing, entitled to an actual show cause, entitled to the allegations actually written, entitled to a witness list. We're entitled to present our own witness list and notice of that.
Criminal contempt is different. It is on the spot. So he's gotten the due process he's going to get. That's on the spot. I told him. Plus, he's had all day to tell me who it is that is it. So a little different, Ms. Merchant. I won't disagree with you, but
well, and okay. Judge, just for the record, it's that's direct. So what you're holding him in is in direct criminal contempt.
Yes.
The issue with the direct criminal contempt is whether or not to actually hold a hearing now, whether or not it needs to be held immediately. And the problem is, if you hold him in direct criminal contempt, as you're saying that you did, you are a witness to that proceeding, and so it has to be referred to another judge. Doesn't require recusal. You actually have to sua sponte send it to another judge because you are a witness to the proceeding.
If you're anything like me, you are always cleaning up a mess, especially with pets and kids around the house. So having cleaning products, especially my first order, matter one bit. Judge Glanville held Brian Steele in contempt.
Mr. Steele, I am going to hold you still hold you in summary criminal contempt pursuant to OCJ 15-1-3, subpart 3, for your failure to comply with my earlier order today. I'm going to order that you be taken into custody, incarcerated in the Fulton County Jail for no more than 20 days for this contempt. Those 20 days consisting of every weekend for the next 10 weekends. And you'll be reporting to 901 Wright Street Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318 at 7 p.m. on Fridays. You'll be released on 7 p.m. on Sundays. And it's to commence this Friday, June the 14th at 7 p.m. and not to end until Sunday, August the 18th at 2024 at 7 p.m. subject to further order of this court.
Now, after the judge said that Brian Steele was going to have to spend his weekends in jail, Steele had just one request.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm going to file a notice of appeal, but for whatever reason that doesn't take, and you don't give a bond, then I'd ask that I can be with Mr. Williams and we work on our case all weekend. For all those weekends. Otherwise, I can't prepare. I speak with Mr. Williams all the time.
That's up to you. And sir, I will, sir, if that comes to pass, you have my support. I will talk with our sheriff and
So these are some of the arguments that you hear. Now, what I truly believe is that now you get the big dogs involved. You get way too many more people involved in this case. Some of these tedious lawyers that are looking for loopholes, looking for what to file. You don't just throw a lawyer in jail like that, bro. You got to have respect for the overall sanctuary that you guys have to share, because they can become tedious the same way the judge can become tedious. And this can be a very interesting chess match between the two. Again, he has Ashley Merchant, which is the lady that represents Trump in his election fraud case in Fulton County, in which Fannie Willis and the DA has decided to press the brakes or press pause on that. I think this trial goes further and further. What I see happening next is, they do, YSL Woody gonna be looking like Frank Martin in there. First round he come in, I plead the fifth. Second round, I say a little something. Third round, I say a little something. Seventh, eighth round, man, he tired of this shit, man. They either gonna catch him in perjury, they gonna play the tape, something gonna happen in the later rounds because they're stalling him out, they weighing him down. They know you don't want to keep, the longer you do it like this, the longer we gonna be doing this, is what they telling him. But you got to say, yo, I can't sit there and send my partner down like that. I don't know what y'all folks doing. But it is what it is. Let's move on. That's my take on Thug up until this point. We'll keep you guys updated.